Listen closely. In the next 90 seconds, you may feel a small shift under your skin, as if the face itself were waking up. That sensation is not magic. It is a sign that your body remembers a truth you have postponed. Helena Blavatsky called the human being a living bridge between matter and spirit. Tonight I will show you a simple doorway on that bridge, the pathway of the trigeminal nerve, and how touching it with attention can soften old pain, calm the racing mind, and return you to your original clarity. Before we begin, ask yourself one honest question. When did your face become the armor for emotions you never voiced? Tight jaws, tired eyes, a frown that stayed after the worry left. Your nervous system learned to survive by holding. But what protects you can also imprison you. If for a moment you allow yourself to feel without fear, the hold begins to loosen. This is not blind belief. It is a skill you can test in your own body, breath by breath. Think of this as a small experiment in authority. Not mine, not anyone else's, yours. You will guide your attention with simple cues and you will watch what happens. The changes are often quiet at first. A longer exhale, a softer gaze, a memory that finally exhales. Yet these small signs are bright footprints leading toward a larger transformation. According to Blavatsky, what moves in the microcosm echoes in the macrocosm. When the face finds ease, the mind hears it. When the mind grows clear, the heart opens. The system obeys the order of your intention. Stay with me until the end, because the method only reveals its depth when all steps connect. If you skip ahead, you will miss the hinge on which the whole door turns. If you stay, you will learn how to listen with your fingertips, breathe with purpose, and release what your words could not. You do not need special tools, crystals, or faith, only presence. When this introduction ends, pause your thoughts for one full breath. Notice what your face is saying right now. Do not fix it. Do not hide it. Let it speak. That honest beginning is enough. We start there. What if I told you that right now, hidden behind the very expression you are wearing, lies a secret switch that could change how you feel, how you think, and even how you heal? Imagine that the same face you show the world every day is not just a mask, but a living map, where every line and every shadow tells the story of your inner battles. Most of us never notice it. We rush through life carrying the weight of memories, stresses, and silent fears, and the face becomes a battlefield of emotions we do not dare to release. The jaw locks as if trying to hold back words never spoken. The eyes harden as if they must guard a fragile truth, and the forehead gathers the wrinkles of problems that were never ours to solve. But here is the unsettling thought. What if these tensions are not only reflections of your emotions, but also the very chains that keep your energy trapped? Helena Blavatsky once wrote that the human being is a temple, and every temple hides a door that few ever learn to open. Inside that temple there are forces that the outer world can neither give nor take away. These forces are yours alone, waiting in silence. Yet centuries of tradition, both mystical and medical, point to a very specific place, the trigeminal nerve, a hidden pathway in the face, invisible to the eye but powerful enough to carry both pain and peace. If it remains asleep, you remain a prisoner of your own expressions. If it awakens, you rediscover a current of strength that feels almost miraculous, though it belongs only to you. Think for a moment. Have you ever wondered why some people seem to radiate calm even when everything around them collapses? It is not only discipline or genetics, it is alignment. Their inner current flows without blockage, and the face becomes the mirror of that flow. In contrast, most people live as if their own nervous system were a locked room they had lost the key to. They carry stress as an inheritance, anxiety as a duty, tension as a second skin. But what happens if the locked door finally opens? What happens if the body remembers what the mind has long forgotten? That healing is not foreign, it is natural. The story grows even stranger when we realize how much of our emotional history is carved in the muscles of the face. A child who learned early to hide tears grows into an adult with tight cheeks and stiff eyes. A teenager who swallowed rage leaves behind a jaw that never truly rests. Decades later, the body still obeys those old orders, repeating them like a soldier who never received news that the war has ended. This is not metaphor. Neuroscience shows us that the trigeminal nerve registers and transmits signals that influence not only pain and touch, but also emotion and memory. Ancient wisdom called it a bridge between body and soul. Modern science calls it a major nerve. Different words, same mystery. And here lies the first conflict you must face. What if the habits that protect you are the same habits that suffocate you? What if the tension you carry in silence is not only recording the past, but also writing your future? The wrinkles, the headaches, the restless sleep. Could they be coded messages urging you to look closer? Helena Blavatsky would insist that symbols are never accidents. If the face speaks, it speaks a language we must learn again. Now let us add another layer of intrigue. In many ancient cultures, the face was not simply skin stretched over bone. It was seen as the sacred canvas where invisible forces revealed themselves. Egyptian priests spoke of currents of energy crossing the cheeks like rivers of the Nile. Vedic teachers described the face as the gate of prana, the vital force, where each breath painted patterns unseen. Greek philosophers tried to read the soul through the lines of the brow, while medieval mystics believed that softening the lines of worry invited divine grace. And all of them, in their own symbolic language, circled around the same insight. The human face is more than appearance, it is access. But access to what? Here's the paradox. The key has always been hidden in plain sight. You look in the mirror every morning, you wash your face, you touch your cheeks, and yet you rarely pause to ask, what messages are hidden here? Every micro-expression, every shift of the muscles is a code. The trigeminal nerve is the messenger that carries that code, whispering constantly to your brain. But if you never stop to listen, you never hear it. The nerve speaks, but you live deaf to its guidance. This is why practices of conscious stimulation, simple touches, mindful breaths, carry a power far greater than their simplicity suggests. They remind the body to unlock itself. Think of it as discovering a forgotten room in your own house. You have lived there all your life, yet one day you stumble on a hidden door behind the wallpaper. You open it and suddenly there is space, light and air you never knew existed. Would you ever return to living in cramped darkness? And yet, most of us choose that every day without realizing it. We ignore the door, we forget the hidden room. We prefer the familiar discomfort of tension to the strange freedom of release. The question then becomes, why? Why would anyone resist their own liberation? The answer is unsettling, because the body remembers more than the mind can bear. To open the door is also to open the archive of old pain, the memories you buried under years of silence. It is not only joy that emerges when the trigeminal nerve is awakened, it is also grief, anger, longing. That is why many hesitate. That is why the path is not for the curious passerby, but for the seeker willing to confront both shadow and light. Helena Blavatsky warned that true knowledge is never free of risk. To touch the inner fire is to risk being burned. But what is the alternative? To live without light? And here you stand, at the threshold of this exploration. You may feel curiosity mixed with unease, and that is exactly the sign that you are in the right place. The next moments will take you deeper, step by step, into the mystery of how this nerve, this invisible thread running through your face, connects the seen with the unseen. But do not expect comfort. Expect truth, and truth is rarely soft at first touch. So I ask you, will you keep wearing the same expressions carved by old battles, or will you dare to unmask yourself before yourself? Will you allow the mirror to show you more than the surface? Stay with me, because what you are about to discover is not theory, not fantasy, but a practice that can change the very rhythm of your being. And remember, the story does not end here. What comes next will challenge you even more, because once you glimpse the secret door, the real question will not be how to open it, but whether you are ready to walk through it. Imagine walking through a crowded street and realizing that every face you see is a living book, carrying stories that no words have ever told. Look closely and you will notice. The woman with the serene expression may have endured storms you cannot imagine, while the man with the tense jaw may be fighting battles no one else can see. The truth is that the face is never neutral. It is always speaking, always recording, always reflecting. And here lies a mystery that civilizations across time tried to capture in their own languages. They understood something we forgot, that the face is not only the surface of our identity, it is the stage where invisible forces perform. The Egyptians looked at the human face and believed that it carried sacred rivers of energy, mirroring the Nile itself. They painted their pharaohs with eyes wide and lips calm, not for decoration but because they believed that a balanced face invited balance in the kingdom. In India, ancient sages described the face as the entry gate of prana, the life force that travels with every breath. For them, a wrinkle was not only a sign of age, but also the memory of how the soul had learned, or failed to learn, to release pain. In Greece, philosophers like Aristotle observed the connection between character and expression. They believed that if the face grew calm, the spirit followed. And in the Middle Ages, mystics softened the muscles of the face during prayer, convinced that when the body released tension, the soul opened to divine grace. Now pause for a moment and think about yourself. How many times have you caught your reflection in a window and wondered, who is that tired person staring back at me? Maybe it happened after a long day of work, or after a fight with someone you love, or even after a night when you could not sleep. Without words, the face reveals what the heart tries to hide. And if the trigeminal nerve is the messenger of all these hidden signals, then it means your nervous system is writing the story of your life on your own skin. Every smile forced, every tear swallowed, every sleepless night leaves a trace that you carry with you. This is not only poetic reflection, it is practical reality. Consider how stress shapes your daily routine. You wake up already tense, your jaw clenched before your feet touch the ground. You drink coffee to force energy into a tired system, but your face remains heavy. At work, you smile because you have to, not because you feel like it. And by the time you return home, your cheeks ache from pretending. The body is not lying, it is reporting. The trigeminal nerve is the scribe that has never stopped recording. And here comes the unsettling thought. If you do nothing, that record becomes permanent. What you once endured becomes who you believe you are. But it does not have to be that way. Helena Blavatsky insisted that what we call destiny is often the echo of forgotten choices. If your face has become the prison of old emotions, then learning to release it is not vanity, it is liberation. She believed that the microcosm always reflects the macrocosm. In other words, the smallest act, like softening a line of tension on the cheek, can send ripples into the greater field of your consciousness. What you change outside changes inside, and what you heal inside radiates out into the world. This is why the ancients were obsessed with the face. They knew that in its calmness or chaos, whole universes were mirrored. But there is something even more surprising. Neuroscientists today confirm that facial tension not only mirrors emotion but also fuels it. When you frown, your brain interprets the muscle contraction as a reason to feel worried. When you soften, the brain takes that as permission to relax. The signal flows both ways. The nerve is not passive, it is active, constantly negotiating the terms of your reality. Imagine then the power of consciously working with this nerve. You are no longer the prisoner of the record, you are the editor. And yet, here is the conflict. If the key has always been here, if cultures across millennia knew it, why do we still walk around blind to it? The answer may sting, because we have been trained to seek power outside ourselves. We look for medicine, for approval, for distraction, for salvation in outer temples, when the true temple was written in our very skin. To recognize that the face is a door means accepting that no one else can walk through it for you. That responsibility is frightening, but it is also the beginning of freedom. Now let me offer you a challenge that will turn this reflection into a living act. If you have listened with your heart and you feel that strange sense of recognition stirring inside, write these words in the comments right now. By writing it, you are declaring not only to others but to yourself that you are ready to unmask the hidden part of your being. This is not superstition, it is psychology. When you commit in writing, you anchor the idea in your nervous system. It becomes more than a thought, it becomes a decision. And decisions create change. And while you are here, look around your screen. Somewhere in the corner you will see a red button. That button is not for everyone. Only those who feel chosen to continue this journey will click it. Only the chosen will subscribe and in doing so declare, I am ready to awaken. I am ready to heal. I am ready to remember who I am. If you are one of them, click the red button now and let this choice bless your path, because what comes next will go deeper. We will not only speak of history and hidden wisdom, we will begin to open the inner archive, to touch the memories that have shaped your reality. And once we do, there is no going back. So breathe, reflect, and decide. Will you remain only a reader of your own face, or will you become the one who rewrites its story? Every emotion you have ever felt has left a trace somewhere in your body, but nowhere is this record more visible than on your face. Think of your jaw tight after a long argument. Think of your eyes heavy after nights of silent worry. Think of your forehead folding itself into patterns of concern even when the crisis has passed. These marks are not accidents. They are inscriptions. The trigeminal nerve, hidden in the depth of the skull yet branching across the entire face, has been writing these inscriptions all your life. It is not just a channel of sensation. It is a bridge between memory and expression, between what you lived and what you carry still. When you touch this nerve through conscious practice, something curious happens. The body begins to reveal emotions you thought you had buried long ago. Tears may come suddenly, or laughter that surprises you. The release feels like opening a chest that had been locked for decades. The science explains it. Stimulation changes the rhythm of the nervous system, slowing down the fight-or-flight signals, allowing the body to step into safety. But the experience feels deeper. It feels like forgiveness. It feels like recognition. It feels like finally speaking. A truth without using words. Helena Blavatsky suggested that the human being is not only a creature of flesh, but a living archive of invisible forces. To her, every nerve is a string on an instrument, and the face is the place where the song is played. Most people never tune their instrument. They play the same discordant notes again and again, until they mistake the noise for their nature. But when you begin to tune it, even with the smallest adjustment, you start hearing harmony that was always possible. This is why the work with the trigeminal nerve feels almost mystical. You are not adding something new. You are uncovering what was hidden. And here comes the question that might trouble you. If the possibility of harmony is always present, why do we persist in living with dissonance? Why do we endure the clenched jaw, the restless eyes, the headaches that repeat themselves? Could it be that the pain has become part of our identity, so familiar that we fear who we might be without it? Daily life gives endless proof of this pattern. How often do you see someone smiling politely while their entire face screams exhaustion? How often do you yourself wake up promising to stay calm, only to notice your shoulders and face tightening before you even leave the house? The trigeminal nerve is honest, it cannot lie. It reports every stress to the brain and every reaction to the body. If you ignore it, the record becomes permanent, a cycle that deepens over time. But if you listen, if you dare to change the record, you realize something shocking. The story is not fixed. It can be rewritten. This is where the practice turns into a kind of psychological mirror. By working with your face consciously, you start to notice patterns you never questioned before. For example, you may realize that you hold your jaw not only during conflict, but also when you feel unseen. Or that your forehead tightens not only with worry but with doubt about your own worth. Each discovery is both uncomfortable and liberating. Uncomfortable because it shows how much of your life has been ruled by old reflexes. Liberating because awareness breaks the spell. Once you see, you cannot unsee. But pause for a moment and ask yourself, what is the cost of not seeing? What is the price of moving through life blind to the signals written on your own face? Could it be that entire chapters of your emotional history remain unread, waiting for you to recognize them before they consume you? There is also a paradox at play here. The same nerve that records tension also holds the key to releasing it. This is not speculation. People who have practiced gentle, mindful stimulation of the trigeminal area report feelings of warmth spreading through the face, relief in the eyes, even sudden waves of clarity in thought. It is as if the body was waiting for permission to let go. This shows us that healing is not something foreign. It is coded into the system itself. The obstacle is not absence of power, but absence of awareness. The The treasure has always been buried in your own house. Helena Blavatsky warned that self-knowledge is never easy, because to discover the treasure, you must also face the guardian. In this case, the guardian is resistance. When you first begin, you may feel restless, even irritated. Memories may surface that you believed forgotten. You may want to quit, but this is the test. The guardian appears not to block you, but to measure your commitment. If you pass, if you stay with the discomfort, the door begins to open. Now imagine this scene. A person sits quietly, eyes closed, fingertips resting gently on the cheeks. At first, nothing. Then a slow exhale. Then a sudden sigh, as if something long held finally leaves. Tears may follow, or silence deeper than sleep. In that moment, they are not only relaxing muscles, they are releasing a story. The trigeminal nerve becomes a threshold, and crossing it means entering the sanctuary of your own being. But here is where suspense deepens. If the sanctuary exists within you, what exactly is stored there? What truths, what fears, what forgotten strengths lie behind the locked door of your nervous system? And are you ready to meet them? Consider how different your daily life would look if you carried less of this invisible weight. The arguments that once triggered you might lose their power. The tiredness that clung to you might lift. Even the way you look at others might soften, because the face you show the world would no longer be a mask of struggle, but a mirror of peace. This is not fantasy. It is the logical outcome of a nervous system allowed to return to balance. But it begins with a choice to notice, to listen, to practice. To listen, to... And yet, here's the next question. If the key is so simple, why does the majority of humanity still walk around locked inside themselves? Could it be that we have learned to value complexity over simplicity, even when the simplest acts hold the greatest power? The trigeminal nerve is more than anatomy. It is a metaphor made flesh. It tells us that the face is both messenger and gate, both prison and path. The tight jaw is not just a symptom, it is a message. The relaxed cheek is not just comfort, it is a doorway. To work with this nerve is to accept that every moment you carry the power to change the quality of your experience. Few truths are more radical than this. And so the invitation stands. Will you keep repeating the patterns carved by past pain? Or will you dare to open the archive and write a new story? Will you continue to see your face as a mask you cannot control, or as a key you can finally learn to turn? Because what follows after this point is even more revealing. We will move beyond the recognition of tension into the mystery of liberation. We will explore how to release what the nerve has stored and how to transform that release into strength. But remember, every journey has a cost. To free yourself is also to face yourself. Are you willing to take that step, knowing that once you enter, there is no return to the old blindness? There comes a moment in every journey of awakening when what was once hidden begins to surface. For many, this moment feels uncomfortable, even overwhelming. When you start to release the grip of the trigeminal nerve, memories return that you thought were gone forever. It may be the echo of a childhood sadness, a memory of betrayal, or the heaviness of unspoken grief. The body never forgets. The face especially becomes a museum of emotions that were never processed. Unlocking this nerve is like turning on the lights in a room that has been closed for years. Dust rises, shadows appear, and objects you forgot you owned suddenly surround you. This is why so many people stop when the first wave of discomfort comes. Yet, this is exactly the threshold you must cross if you want freedom. Statistics tell us something remarkable. According to the World Health Organization, nearly 280 million people worldwide suffer from depression, and more than 300 million from anxiety disorders. These numbers are not just medical labels. They are faces, families, communities. Behind each statistic is a nervous system overloaded by unprocessed experiences. Many cultures describe the same reality in different terms. In the East, blocked energy. In the West, stress and trauma. The language changes, but the truth remains the same. We carry weight in our bodies that shapes our lives in silence. Imagine a man in Tokyo working 12 hours a day, who notices his jaw hurts every morning. He thinks it is only stress from work, never realizing that his trigeminal nerve is repeating the memory of pressure he has carried since his father told him as a boy that emotions were weakness. Or picture a woman in Sao Paulo who feels constant headaches. Doctors prescribe medication, but nothing helps. She learns years later that the tightness in her face has been linked to unresolved fear she felt during her parents' divorce. Multiply these stories by millions, and you begin to see that the pain in the face is not isolated. It is global. But here is the twist. The same nerve that holds the pain also carries the release. Studies show that stimulating the trigeminal nerve can reduce symptoms of PTSD, lower blood pressure, and even improve sleep. What seems mystical is also measurable. What Helena Blavatsky called the bridge between spirit and body, science now begins to confirm with data and brain scans. This convergence is powerful. It means that ancient intuition and modern evidence are pointing to the same door. And the key to that door is already in your hands. When people first experience this release, it can feel almost supernatural. Tears flow without warning, or laughter bursts out in a quiet room. Some describe a sense of lightness in their head, others a wave of warmth across the face. One man in Canada reported that after weeks of practice, he suddenly realized he was no longer grinding his teeth at night, something he had done for 20 years. A teacher in Kenya found that her chronic migraines disappeared after learning to breathe while gently pressing her cheekbones. None of them expected miracles, and yet what they discovered felt miraculous because it returned to them something they thought was lost: choice. And yet, we must ask ourselves, why do we continue to run from this possibility? Could it be because freedom demands responsibility? Once you realize that your healing is not entirely in the hands of doctors, medicines, or external rituals, you face a new reality. The power was always in you. That realization is liberating, but it is also frightening. To take back your power means you can no longer blame the world for your suffering. You must meet yourself. This is where practice becomes essential. Liberation is not a single dramatic event. It is a discipline of daily life. Think of it as learning a new language. At first, it feels strange, awkward, even forced. But with repetition, the words begin to flow. In the same way, learning to relax your face, breathe deeply, and connect with your nerve feels unnatural in the beginning. You question yourself. You wonder if anything is happening. But with consistency, the body begins to understand. The nervous system rewrites its story. Global surveys show that 70% of people admit to living in a state of constant stress. Most accept it as normal. But what if stress is not normal at all? What if it is a signal, a messenger urging you to pay attention? By integrating small daily rituals, softening your face before sleep, breathing consciously at work, touching your cheeks with presence, you create a revolution inside your nervous system. These tiny acts of attention add up to profound change. Consider this: every time you choose to pause and soften, you are breaking a centuries-old cycle of suppression. In many cultures, people were taught to hide emotions, to endure silently. But silence turns into tension, and tension turns into illness. By daring to listen to your own face, you are not only healing yourself, you are also healing generations of learned denial. In this way, the practice is not only personal, it is collective. Your liberation becomes part of the world's liberation. Blavatsky often spoke of the human as a microcosm of the cosmos. The smallest changes inside reflect in the greater order outside. So when you relax the tiny muscles of your face, you are doing more than easing a headache. You are declaring to the universe that you are ready to live in harmony, to align with the rhythm of life itself. This alignment is not mystical poetry. It can be measured in your blood pressure, in your heart rate, in the steadiness of your breath, but its meaning goes far beyond numbers. It means you're remembering who you are, and here lies the deeper mystery. The practice itself is simple, but the effects ripple into every area of life. Relationships soften when your expression changes. Conflicts dissolve when your nervous system no longer feeds them with hidden rage. Creativity blossoms when the face is no longer locked in patterns of fear. Even the way strangers respond to you shifts, because they sense peace in your presence. This is the quiet power of liberation through practice. The story, however, is not finished. What happens when you go deeper? What happens when you do not only release tension, but learn to use this release as a ritual of transformation. The answer leads us into a new chapter, one where every breath and every touch becomes not only a technique, but a sacred act. And this is where the journey takes its most surprising turn. Because once you learn to live with presence, you realize that the face is not just a record of the past, it is also the canvas of the future. And the hand that paints that canvas is yours. At this point in our journey, you already know that the trigeminal nerve is not only a thread of anatomy, but a key to awakening a forgotten part of yourself. We have explored its history, its mysteries, and the way it carries both pain and possibility. Now, as we reach the final chapter, I want you to stop for a moment and breathe, because what you are about to receive is not more theory, but a practical path, a plan you can follow if you truly want to transform what you have learned into the rhythm of your daily life. The first step is presence. Every day, pause at least 3 times and listen to your face. Ask simple questions. Am I clenching my jaw? Am I frowning without realizing it? Are my eyes heavy with unspoken emotion? This is not about judgment. It is about awareness. Awareness is the spark that wakes up the hidden room we spoke of earlier. Without awareness, no technique will last. With awareness, even the smallest gesture can become transformative. The second step is breath. Link your breathing to your face. When you inhale, imagine light entering through your cheeks and forehead. When you exhale, imagine shadows leaving. Do this slowly, gently, for 3 to 5 minutes a day. Neuroscience shows that breath regulates the nervous system. Mysticism teaches that breath carries spirit. In both views, breath is the bridge. By combining it with attention to your face, you align body and soul in a single act. The third step is touch. Place your fingertips softly on your cheekbones, temples, or jawline. Do not press hard. Do not force. Simply let your fingers listen. Stay with your breath. This tactile presence sends a message to your nervous system. It is safe to release. Over time, this becomes a ritual, a private moment where the body learns to trust itself again. If you do it daily, even for only 5 minutes, you will notice change. Small at first, then larger. What seems ordinary is the very door to the extraordinary. The fourth step is silence. Create a few minutes each day without distractions. No phone, no noise, no conversation. In this silence, notice what arises. Perhaps a memory, a feeling, an image. Do not run, do not cling. Let them pass like clouds. The silence is not empty. It is fertile. It is the soil where healing grows. Many avoid silence because it brings discomfort. But discomfort is only the sign that something inside is ready to be seen and released. The fifth step is integration. Bring the practice into ordinary life. Do not limit it to meditation or ritual. While waiting in line, soften your jaw. While talking to someone you love, relax your forehead. Before sleep, breathe deeply and touch your face gently. By weaving the practice into daily life, you transform the ordinary into sacred space. The more you integrate, the less the old patterns control you. Now, let us be honest. Change does not happen overnight. You may doubt. You may forget. You may fall back into old habits. This is natural. What matters is not perfection, but persistence. Helena Blavatsky said that truth belongs to those who seek it with patience. Every time you return to the practice, even after forgetting, you are proving to yourself that you are serious. Each return is a victory. Statistics remind us why this matters. Stress-related disorders are among the leading causes of illness worldwide. Billions of dollars are spent on medications that often treat symptoms but not causes. Imagine if even a fraction of that energy was directed inward, toward practices that restore balance at the root. Imagine millions of people pausing daily, breathing consciously, softening their faces. The world itself would begin to look different. Your practice, though personal, contributes to a collective shift. And here is where reflection becomes action. I invite you to try this plan for the next 21 days. 3 weeks of awareness, breath, touch, silence, and integration. Write down what you notice. Changes in your mood, your sleep, your relationships. Do not expect fireworks. Expect subtle signs. The deeper breath, the softer gaze, the calmer reaction. These are not small. They are signals that your system is remembering harmony. And if you continue beyond 21 days, you will begin to see how the practice becomes part of you, like a second nature. Before we end, I want to remind you, this journey is not about escaping life. It is about facing it with clarity. It is about remembering that your body is not your enemy, your mind is not a prison, and your spirit is not unreachable. They are all threads of the same fabric, waiting to be woven again into wholeness. The trigeminal nerve is only one thread, but pulling it gently begins to realign the whole cloth. So here is my final question to you. Will you continue carrying the mask of old tensions, or will you dare to begin each day with a new face, calm, open, and alive? The decision is yours. No one else can make it for you, but I can tell you this. Once you start, once you taste even a glimpse of this release, you will not want to return to the old way. If this message touched you, if it stirred something inside you, then do not keep it silent. Share it, speak of it, live it. And before you leave, I ask you with sincerity, subscribe to this channel so we can continue this journey together. Click like if these words resonated with you, because that small action helps this message reach others who need it. And in the comments, write your questions, your reflections, or your personal stories, anonymously if you wish. You never know who may be healed by reading your words. This is not the end. It is the beginning of a path you can walk every day. A path of presence, breath, touch, silence, and integration. A path that leads you back to yourself, and I will be here, walking it with you.